Alex Pereira isn't interested in moving up to the heavyweight division for matchups with Tom Aspinall or John Jones. News not so pleasant for fans to hear, as it would be difficult to find a mixed martial arts enthusiast who wouldn't like to see Pereira test himself a weight division above, challenging for a third world title, especially as such potentially explosive matchups as with Tom Aspinall, commenting on the desire of fans for him to change a weight class. One more time, Powhatan said the following, quote, "I am not taking anything away from Aspinall. I respect him a lot. I think he's an incredible athlete. I'm just talking about fighting for an interim belt. There's no point for me, so I rule that out. There's no possibility to fight him now. If he was champion and he said he wants to fight me, of course we would be promoting that fight. I would force it more, but there is no point in fighting for the interim belt right now." End quote. Alex Pereira's current position in UFC is interesting, as he's grown into one of the biggest stars for the company and checks almost every box for the optimal set of characteristics as the most valuable fighter in the promotion, and after finishing Yuri Prochazka in his last title defense, options for his future look intriguing. The most likely next opponent for him in the light heavyweight division is, of course, Magomed Ankalaev, who's currently on a 12-fight unbeaten streak and would pose some problems for him if they share the octagon, particularly if he does, in fact, rely on his wrestling background more heavily. The Jan Blachowicz rematch is also there and would be an interesting one, considering their last fight was decided by a split decision. Israel Adesanya, of course, in case he defeats Dricus du Plessis in his middleweight title fight, might want to move up for a trilogy bout with Pereira. And lastly, as heavyweight would be enticing for Alex if the champion calls him out directly, and he's given the opportunity to contend for the belt, the John Jones fight still remains open. So it's safe to say Alex does have some interesting options for his next fight. ARIEL Helwani denies rumors about Dustin Poirier versus Alexander Volkanovski in Abu Dhabi. Both Dustin and Alex have recently hit somewhat of a similar position in their careers. They've lost their last fights and have come to a crossroads, with the former interim lightweight champion, Dustin, losing another title fight, most likely being his last opportunity at the title, and former featherweight champion, Volkanovski, who lost his rematch against Islam and his featherweight belt to Ilia Topuria. The two athletes have some difficult decisions to make. They have to decide whether they're willing to continue fighting top 10 talent in their divisions and eventually earn another title shot, or possibly call it a career, as fighters of their caliber typically don't like to linger around the sport without a clear vision of regaining or retaining championship titles, and both of them would have some work to do before they get those opportunities again. Lately, rumors of a possible fight being worked on between Dustin Poirier and Alex Volkanovski have been circulating on social media platforms, and the question came up during ARIEL Helwani's last stream on his show. A viewer asked the following question, quote, "Hey, Dustin dropped a list of fighters that he said he would 100% fight in his next fight. Nate, Volk, Gaethje, Oliveira, and Colby being a few of them. What do you see as the most likely and realistic to happen this year? There are some rumors of him fighting Volk in Abu Dhabi." ARIEL was somewhat surprised by the question and responded saying, quote, "Abu Dhabi? What? There are no rumors. What rumors? The guy still has to get surgery on his nose. I would be absolutely shocked to see him fight in 2024. Spring or summer of next year, that's more realistic. There are two fights that I want to see for Dustin before he's done. Number one is Nate Diaz. Number two is the Conor one." End quote. Islam Makhachev gets into a tense altercation with a Russian power slap fighter. Russian media reports the UFC lightweight champion almost got into a brawl with Dana White's power slap athlete in Russia, Vasily Komotsky. Islam has expressed disdain for the whole power slap phenomenon many times. Last time, after beating Dustin Poirier, Makhachev called it disgraceful to be a part of such a thing, and Komotsky had an answer for him. A few days ago, in an interview with a Russian media channel Low Kick, Vasily reacted to Makhachev's comments, saying the following, quote, "Disgrace? I don't know. Don't they do the same type of stuff in UFC as well sometimes? When they get physical during press conferences, slapping each other and stuff. Listen, people slapping each other and getting knocked out got really popular as a show, and they turned it into a sport. So I don't see anything disgraceful in getting slapped. I don't feel like that." End quote. It was after these comments and comparing power slap athletes to UFC fighters that, as Russian MMA channel MMA Brotherhood reports, Makhachev got into an altercation with Komotsky after seeing him outside of a sports shopping mall in Moscow. Quote, "After seeing Komotsky, Islam decided to confront him over his comments, telling him he should never compare real fighters to, quote, whatever shit you're doing there," end quote. It was after this that the interaction grew more heated and resulted in the two and their companions getting separated by mall security. though witnesses state Islam hit Volkanovski a couple of times before the separation, end quote. CHAEL Sonnen reacts to Khamzat Chimaev saying his next fight should be a title bout. The Chechen fighter has been inactive since his UFC 294 fight against Kamaru Usman in October due to different reasons, including travel restrictions and health problems. But recently, he expressed desire to fight for the title next, in Abu Dhabi. This was met with mixed reactions, with a portion of fans welcoming the idea, while some found it irritating and felt like Khamzat doesn't deserve a title shot just yet. CHAEL Sonnen shared his thoughts on this, saying the following, quote, Chimaev said he'd love to fight in Abu Dhabi for the middleweight belt, and that there was nobody in UFC history to win 7 fights in a row and not fight for the title. First of all, that is not factually correct, but that's not the point. The point is, you got one of the great media darlings in the history of the sport who is speaking up and trying to stick up for himself. Listen, if they call him to fight somebody else, he's gonna say yes. But in fairness, like so many things in life, if you go along to get along, the other side will understand that those are now the terms. At some point, if you want them to look at you differently, you need to do something differently. You sometimes have to tell people, you will respect me, and they will look at you and say, all right, this is not Chimaev putting his foot down, but it's close. It's as close as it's come. End quote. By CHAEL's analysis, Khamzat is putting public pressure on the UFC to give him a title shot, and he might start getting more demanding moving forward. Who would you like to see him share the octagon against? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching.